What I've got right here are two of the best zoom lenses currently available for Sony APS-C cameras, the Sigma 18-50 f2.8 and the Tamron 17-70 f2.8. And what we're going to be doing in today's video is putting these two mighty lenses head to head to see which one is better for you. So let's start by going over the differences between these two lenses, and at the end of the video I'll let you know which one I would pick. And to make this an even more fierce competition, we're going to be handing points to either lens for each round of comparison. So we're going to kick things off by giving both of these lenses a point for the overall build quality. Both lenses are made from really good materials and feel great in the hand, so for that I think it's only fair that they both get a point here. Now the actual first difference you'll notice between these two lenses is pretty obvious, and that is the size difference. The Tamron is almost 2 inches larger than the Sigma, and that does also equate to a noticeable weight difference. So the Tamron is 525 grams and the Sigma is 290 grams, so the Tamron is 44% heavier than the Sigma. Interestingly, the Tamron 17-70 is actually heavier than the entire body of an A6700, as that thing only weighs 493 grams. When you hold both of these lenses in the hand, you do notice the weight difference. However, I wouldn't say the Tamron is heavy. It's manageable, especially compared to full frame lenses. Although we should take into consideration that a lot of the extra weight from the Tamron can be attributed to the extra focal length you do gain over the Sigma, which we'll talk about later in the video. If you prioritize a lightweight setup like me, then the Sigma is going to be your lens of choice. Once this thing is on the front of your camera, you barely notice it. This one is subjective, but for size and weight, I'm going to reward a point here to the Sigma over the Tamron. However, the Tamron is immediately going to claw a point back here for weather sealing. Whilst both lenses do feature a rubber gasket at the mounting points to protect against dust, rain and moisture, the Tamron goes much further by offering multiple seal points to protect against the elements, something that is absent on the Sigma. And whilst I have used this lens in the heavy rain in the past without a single issue, based on facts, the Tamron is going to be getting the point. Let's discuss one of the biggest talking topics between these two lenses, sharpness and image quality. I've been able to shoot with both of these lenses extensively, with neither actually letting me down in real world shooting scenarios. The photography I've been able to capture with both of these lenses just demonstrates to me why both are a worthy choice of being in your camera bag. Now I'm not going to deny this, I know for a fact if we conduct lens charts and put both of these lenses under the microscope, undisputably they would be trading blows with one another. But ultimately, I think in most real world scenarios, these differences don't really matter, and unless you are purposely looking for them and viewing them in a side-by-side format, you're probably never going to be able to notice a difference. Both of these lenses are sharp, both of them produce amazing image quality, and the photography I've been able to capture with both is incredible. So for me, it's really easy to award both of them a point here. The focal lengths between these two lenses, as we know, do vary, but before we get onto that, the full frame equivalent of the Sigma is 27 to 75mm, and the Tamron is 25 to 105. I bring this up because anytime you put any lens on an APS-C camera, you have to times that focal length by 1.5 times. When it comes to the differences, 17 versus 18mm may not seem like that big of a jump, but there is definitely an advantage of having the widest lens possible, especially on an APS-C camera. And if you are planning on shooting some video and using active stabilization that does crop into your footage, having 17mm can help. Although I wouldn't make a purchasing decision based on a 1mm difference, what's a more interesting comparison is 50mm versus 70mm. When I'm using a zoom lens, if I zoom into the maximum of the lens, I'm often doing so for a few different reasons, either to capture a subject that's a bit further away, to isolate a subject within a frame, or show details within a frame. And here is where I prefer the 70mm on the Tamron over the 50mm on the Sigma. Now on screen you can see the differences between the Tamron and the Sigma at their maximum focal lengths, and you can take a look at the background compression between the two. And in terms of the difference between 50mm and 70mm at the long end, here it is. As you can see, you can punch in much further with the Tamron. So if you're shooting things such as portrait photography and you want to use that 70mm in conjunction with that f2.8 to create the blurriest backgrounds possible, then you're probably better off with the Tamron. However, it should go without saying that both of these lenses are versatile workhorses. They will cover you in such a wide array of different photography genres, that be landscapes, cityscapes, portraits, cars and street photography. With the extra focal focal length you do get on the Tamron, it is going to get the point here for versatility, as it does bring to the table a wider and more telephoto focal range. But what do we do about the Sigma? This is just as versatile, albeit with a shorter overall focal length. So I had a bit of a think about this, and instead of giving it a full point, I think I'm just going to give it half a point. I think that seems fair. When it comes to autofocus for photography, both the lenses performed exceptionally, and they are very quick and responsive, whether it's single point autofocus, continuous, or tracking. I've used both of these lenses extensively with the A6400 and A6700 in the real world, neither of which letting me down, and I don't think they'd let you down either. So for photography autofocus, we're going to hit both of them with a point. Well done Sigma, well done Tamron. Switching over to video autofocus, I started by conducting a tracking test by walking towards the camera, and after repeated test, neither lens dropped focus and did a good job at picking up and locking onto face and eye tracking. I followed this test with a quick ducking in and out of frame test where I couldn't actually see a difference, and I was arrow keying through the footage like this to actually try and find a difference. I would say the Tamron in some examples was a little bit faster to focus, however it was fractional, but I would say the Sigma was smoother. I think it's pretty much a dead heat for both of these lenses, so I think they're just going to have to both get a point for video autofocus as well. As both of these lenses are from third-party lens manufacturers, unfortunately neither of them are compatible with Sony's lens breathing compensation. Fortunately, both of these lenses handle lens breathing pretty well. With the Sigma 18-50, I did notice some breathing at 50mm but less at 18, so a pretty good job overall. The Tamron is a very similar story here, minimum focus breathing at the wide end, but there is some shifting at 70mm, but it's not that noticeable. So again, for another round, both of these lenses should get a point here for focus breathing. When it comes to flaring and ghosting, the coatings on both of these lenses are top notch. But I would say the 18-50 handles flaring better than the 17-70. There are more crazy flarings with the Tamron over the Sigma, so in this round, the Sigma gets the point. But honestly, if it's sunny, just slap the lens hood on and you'll be fine with either lens. Minimum focus distance is where the Sigma absolutely obliterates the Tamron. You might as well slap that point on the board right now for the Sigma. So the Sigma has a fantastic minimum focus distance of only 12.5 centimeters, which essentially means you can touch the subject and you will still be able to focus lock onto it. Whilst it isn't going to replace a macro lens, you can definitely get some cool macro kind of shots with it. And whilst the Tamron does have a pretty decent minimum focus distance of 19 centimeters, it really can't hold a candle to the Sigma in this round. The background out of focus areas look great on both of these lenses, almost identical when at the same focal length. There is an extremely nice and pleasing fall off. When it comes to the shape of the bokeh balls, I'd say the Sigma performs marginally better. There is less onion ringing, less halo, and the shape of the balls are more pleasing. No jokes, alright? I know what I've just said and I regret it immediately, but no jokes please. Anyway, I think both of these lenses definitely deserve a point in this round. Lens stabilization is an area where the Tamron is going to get a massive point here over the Sigma, as this lens does feature vibration compensation, whilst the Sigma has no lens stabilization whatsoever. Generally speaking, when it comes to photography, lens stabilization isn't an issue. As long as you've got enough light to be able to crank up your shutter, you're still going to be able to achieve sharp results. But if the light is starting to dip, or maybe you want to try shooting a handheld long exposure shot like this, then having that lens stabilization can be the difference between capturing a blurry or sharp photograph. This is especially so if you're using any of the A6000 series of cameras up to the A6600, as none of them feature 5 axes of in-body stabilization. The Sony A6700 is the first one to do so. You really see the differences when you are shooting video. If you are using the Sigma with a camera that doesn't have IBIS, your footage is going to look like this, super shaky and unusable. Whilst if you put the Tamron lens on a camera that has no IBIS, your footage is going to look like this, a lot smoother and usable for sure. You can really see how having the lens stabilization in the Tamron makes all the difference. That lens stabilization for the Tamron can be really beneficial for creators. Now I do want to address them here. I've had a few questions over on Instagram asking if I've encountered any of the juddering problems from the vibration compensation in conjunction with the A6700 with its 5-axis in-body stabilization. I've heard that this is a slight issue with this lens apparently from a few findings, but from my personal findings I couldn't replicate this, and I couldn't see it for myself. Now, if you are debating whether or not you should get the Tamron because it has vibration reduction, then this is how I'd look at it. If you shoot a lot of video and you have the A6700, you'll be better off with the Sigma 18-50. But if you shoot a lot of video and you have something like the A6400, then you'll be better off with the Tamron, unless you are really wanting to maintain a compact and lightweight setup and willing to use a gimbal. And speaking of which, with any of these lenses, with any setup, if you want to achieve super duper smooth footage, you're going to want to use a gimbal anyway. When it comes to price, both of these lenses offer a great price to performance ratio. At the current time of recording this, in the States, the Tamron is $699, and here in the UK, it's £625. Whilst the Sigma is a bit cheaper, coming in at $525 in the States and £470 here in the UK. The Sigma is definitely the more budget-friendly option out of the two, and for that, I think it will actually have a larger appeal for APS-C users. I was deliberating this for some time, and the Sigma, without a doubt, is going to get a full point here, but I think the Tamron should get half a point. I was debating whether it should get a full point or half a point because of the price to performance ratio, but because this is more budget friendly, I think Sigma should get the full point here. And if you do want to check out either of these lenses for yourself, links for them are in the description below. After 12 rounds of intense battles between these two lenses, it's now time to put the scores on the door. So if my maths is correct, the Sigma 18-50 is going to walk away with 10.5 points. And the Tamron 17-70 f2.8 walks away with a grand total of 9.5 points. So by one single point, the Sigma is the winner. That is a very close result between these two lenses, but is that the conclusion I'd go with? Is the Sigma the overall winner? As we've established, both of these lenses are excellent, but you've got to choose one that is right for you. The Sigma 18-50 is so compact and lightweight, and it's an ideal choice if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling. Plus, is beautifully sharp, and you can achieve some great macro shots with it thanks to its minimum focus distance. The Tamron 17-70, on the other hand, may be bigger, maybe heavier, but does bring to the table vibration compensation, which could be hugely beneficial for video shooters, and overall a more versatile focal range. So which one would I choose out of these two lenses? Well, for me, I've really enjoyed using the 17-70, and I think this is an absolutely brilliant lens, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to actually test one of these things out. But I would still choose the Sigma 18-50 over the Tamron, mainly because I value a lightweight setup. I like my APS-C setups to be good for traveling. I like them to be lightweight, and this offers all the focal range I could possibly need in a nice compact package. But of course, that's just based on my personal opinion and what I look for in the lens. You've got to bear in mind what your needs are might be completely different to mine. So hopefully this video has been insightful and allowed you to see the differences between these two lenses and allow you to make a decision on which one is best for you. But I'm also really interested to find out, which one would you choose? Let me know in the comment section below. If this video was helpful, then make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It'd be great to have you on board of this ever so growing community. And if you would like to see a POV with a Sigma 18-50 in London, then check out this top video right here. Or if you'd like to see a POV down in London with a Tamron 70-70, then check out this video right here. But with all that said and done, until next time, create, explore, and inspire.